Nos acompaña el miembro del Salón de la Fama Naismith, Gail Goodrich, que no solamente es un extraordinario jugador, un zurdo como Carlos y yo, pero fue miembro de los Lakers del 71-72, el equipo que tuvo esa racha de 33 triunfos al hilo. Racha que comenzó cuando se retiró súbitamente una estrella Laker, Elgin Baylor. Y mi pregunta para él es si ese retiro súbito, que inmediatamente después comenzó esta racha de 33 triunfos, fue algo que disipó una situación que enfrentaba el equipo con un jugador veterano, o sencillamente fue un shock tan grande que el equipo reaccionó y se enfrentó a la mortalidad deportiva al ver a su gran amigo retirarse y empezó a enfocarse más en el juego. Gail.
Well, Álvaro, that was sort of a defining moment, I guess, in our team in 1971, 72. Elgin was a very good friend, and I was close to him. And, unfortunately, he just passed away recently. But, we were 6-3 at the time. And Elgin, of course, was really the face of the franchise when it came to Los Angeles in 1960s. When you play the game as long as Elgin, as long as I did, and I think as long as anybody, there comes a time when, and when you're successful, you expect certain kinds of results. And, Elgin had some knee issues the last few years of his career. And I just think that time he just said, I cannot get the results that I think that I want, internally. And so I think he, said it's time, and it happens to every athlete. You can't play forever. But I think he really, in his own mind, said it's really time. We were 6-3 at the time. And, he was replaced by Jimmy McMillan, who was a very, very, very good player, particularly on the defensive end of the court. And he averaged 17 points a game that year for us. So he just picked up right then. He was ready. He was ready to come out, and really help our team, and in many ways made our team better. We were 6-3 at the time. The next time we looked up, we were 39-3. Yes, we missed Elgin. He's a great leader, a great player, but I just think that he knew it was time. And when you know it's time, you got to step away.
¿Cuán difícil fue para el coach Sharman convencer a Will Chamberlain, que era un gran jugador ofensivo, en convertirse básicamente en el bastión defensivo, proteger el aro, agarrar rebotes y comenzar el contragolpe contigo y con Jerry West, cuando él era un jugador que estaba acostumbrado a anotar mucho?
Well, I really don't know how difficult it was for him to change it, but he did change Wilt, his whole attitude. And I think of in that team, and it was a team where we really came together and played together. Wilt was such a dominant scorer, such a dominant player at really both ends of the court. And I think that what he had transpired was that, he convinced Wilt that he could prolong his career maybe another couple of years, and he wouldn't even sometimes have to come over half court. He'd just get the ball out. And we were a very successful running team. I mean, we averaged 121 points a game that year with no three-point shot. So, he convinced them that, listen, you can make the greatest contribution to our team by rebounding, getting the ball out, playing defense, helping the other players on defense. And Wilt, bought into the system. And, as a coach, as a pro coach, you're always going to be tested by players. We were a very experienced team. But he had a way of, basically saying to you when we discussed different things about how to do things, he had a way of saying, and he'd ask you he'd ask for your opinion. But then he would say, well, let's try it this way, which was his way. And then if it doesn't work, we can always adjust. So he had that ability to communicate with his players. And that's one of the great attributes that you can have as a coach, is that communication with your players, particularly with star players. Because if you can get the star players on your team and in the extent of your thinking and how to approach the game, all the other players will fall in line. And Bill Sharman was very good at that.
En diciembre de ese año 1971, Will Chamberlain notó que habían ganado su partido consecutivo número 21, que en ese momento había quebrado la marca previa. Y lo dijo con gran alivio: ya nos quitamos este peso encima. Pero les quedaban 12 victorias más. Y mi pregunta para Gail es: ¿cómo pudieron ellos evitar las distracciones que implica una racha tan larga, el hecho de que cada rival quería cortarla, el hecho de que había más y más presión para ellos mantener esa racha, Gail?
Well, it's interesting. There's sort of a cliche that, you approach every game the same and you play one by one. And that's sort of what we did. I will say that as the streak started and as it progressed, that we gained a great deal of confidence. And that's what I think great teams do. But we really gained confidence in our ability, and almost to the point of maybe being a little cocky. We went on the floor believing internally that we were the best team and that we could win. And we'd find ways to win, whether we run off a quick streak or we just, grind it out. We had a couple of close calls. But outside of that, we won pretty much handily during those 33 games. I don't think anybody had really. Yes, we got the 21. That was a record, and we broke it. But I think pretty much to a man, we just had that confidence and approached every single game one by one. And one of the things, great things that Coach Sharman always preached, and he always, when we go over in the locker room, our pregame plan and discuss the other team, he would always say that at some point he would say, we have to play our best game and we have to concentrate for 48 minutes. We have to be consistent for 48 minutes, not 40, not 44, but for the full game, the 48 minutes. And I think that resonated with all the players.
Ese año jugaron para 69 y 13, perdieron 13 partidos solamente. Contra un solo equipo perdieron en 2 ocasiones. Ese equipo también los llevó a tiempo extra durante la racha, y es el equipo para el que había jugado, el que había jugado Gail, que es los Phoenix Suns, que ni siquiera entraron a playoff ese año. ¿Te puedes acordar de qué sería tan difícil de jugar contra los Phoenix Suns en ese tiempo?
Well, Carlos, that's a tough one for me to answer. I really can't remember now. Maybe I'm having some senior moments here. I can't recall. I mean, I do know that Phoenix took us to overtime, and that's the one team that really came close to breaking the streak. But as far as why and how, I'm sorry, Carlos, I can't remember that. I maybe I'm getting a little bit older, but I like to focus on the good stuff.
That's fine. That's fine. We all are.
Gail, si hay alguien que tenía experiencia previa de rachas extendidas en ese equipo de los Lakers, eras tú, porque a nivel universitario, con la Universidad de California en Los Ángeles, tuviste en la temporada 63-64 una temporada perfecta, 30-0, y no perdieron ningún partido camino al campeonato. ¿Tus compañeros Lakers te preguntaban acerca de esa dinámica o te buscaban tu perspectiva en cuanto a ese tipo de racha larga, Gail?
Álvaro, one of the great things that I've learned playing basketball, and again, I did try to approach every game individually. But, playing for John Wooden at UCLA, one of the things that I really learned early on is preparation. And I also learned that from Coach Sharman. And they both thought a lot alike in that respect, that you prepare the players, and we were prepared in both incidents, that with UCLA Bruins and with the Lakers, that you go into a game and you're prepared. And if you really are prepared, the game becomes pretty much easy. It's a game of repetition. So I think that I learned that from Coach Wooden, and it really carried over to Sharman. And one of the great things that I've learned coming out of basketball and really applying to my life and other aspects of my life is that preparation is so important. And I have a saying, prior planning prevents poor performance, what I call the 5 Ps. And I think that is true not only in basketball and athletics, but in anything you try, in any endeavor in your life. And so those streaks, yes, the streak with the Lakers was not new to me. And I experienced it before. And of course, experience is a great thing to have. But I really approached every game individually, being prepared every game, no matter who we played.
Palabras sabias del miembro del Salón de la Fama Naismith, Gail Goodrich, que fue el elemento común en esas 2 rachas de más de 30 partidos ganados de forma consecutiva. It's quite an honor for you to join us. It's also a pleasure, Gail. Thank you very, very much.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much, Gail.
All right. Thank you, Carlos, Álvaro. Great to see you. I really enjoyed it. And thank you for having me.
¿Y tú? ¿Estás en ritmo?